So I honestly believe that people who know about something like Google Analytics, who are aware of this term Google Analytics, would be smart enough to find out where Google Analytics is there on the internet, and to navigate their way towards creating an account in Google Analytics 4. So I am not going to explain how to reach Google Analytics and how to reach this stage to create an account. If you simply Google it and then click on those options, you should be able to come over here. If you're not able to figure that out, then don't learn Google Analytics. You will not be, if you're not able to figure that, then you cannot understand the rest of the things. All right, just my honest opinion. Now, so once you start creating an account, it should look something like this. Okay, so part one is this is required. So you need to put in the name of the account. As I said, that this can be the brand name of the business that you're managing. So in my case, I can put DataVinci, right? And then these are the options. You can see that by default this one is unchecked, these three are checked, right? So just quickly going through each of these options. So this is if you check this, then whatever data you are collecting in your property, whatever data you are collecting of your user through your marketing campaigns in your account, you are sharing that data with Google. So Google is being kind enough over here that even though this is a Google product, they are giving it for kind of free. Obviously they have the access to data, but they're still taking an explicit permission that whether this data of your visitors that you're collecting on your website or app, can Google use this, obviously anonymously, and improve their other products, right? So by default it's unchecked. If you want to share data with Google, then you can check this and share data with Google. Right now, Google allows for modeling and business insights. For any reason you feel that you do not want to enable these features, you do not want to work with features like predictions or modeling or benchmarking, right? You do not want that, so you can uncheck this. By default it's checked. For most people, they are simply going to click on next, right? But still I am going to explain to you what this feature means. Now these two technical support, so understand this thing that by default for the free tier of Google Analytics, you do not have any kind of technical support or any kind of recommendations as such. But Google Analytics integrates for free with Google Ads, right? And also the audiences that you create in Analytics, you can share that with Google Ads for remarketing and retargeting purposes. So let's say you are a premium customer for Google Ads, right? And you are facing any difficulties with analytics such that it is affecting your ad performance, and you know that Google provides free technical support and just account management support to the customers who are using Google Ads. So if in case they need to provide technical support by accessing your Google Analytics account, or they need to look at your data and provide recommendations, then this option is required. If you uncheck this, then obviously Google technical support cannot access your Google Analytics account. All right, so yeah, that's more or less about it. You can simply click on next. And property name, so here as I mentioned that you can create up to 2000 properties in an account, and a simple example would be production data, right? If you're having a staging account, then you can have that, but let's say it's production data. And you can choose the country. If you are you stay in a country where there are multiple time zones, then you need to update this one as well. And the currency, if you want to track e-commerce data. Okay, then simply click on next, then select the category, right? Select the option that is relevant for you, right? And then these are the options like what is the objective of your Google Analytics account. So you want to generate leads, drive online sales, raise brand awareness, examine user behavior. So these four are something that you can choose optionally, wherein as in you can pick and choose. But if you select this, then you cannot choose any of these, right? So this one is kind of a standalone option, wherein this will just give you the baseline reports. uh, Mostly people will use any of these options, right? They will not go ahead with this option. right? So let's just go with something that is standard. So you will either choose online sales or drive leads, but if you're running email marketing, then obviously driving leads also becomes, or driving subscription also becomes one of the objectives for you. So you can keep all of these enabled. As such, it should not affect the experience that you have in Google Analytics at the time of creation of this video. All right, now you can choose the country, and based on that your agreement can get modified. If you want to read this, go ahead, read this. If you want to copy this and share this with your lawyer, go ahead and do that. If you want to put this in chat GPT, summarize it, go ahead and do that. Otherwise, just simply check this box and say I accept and move forward. All right, now we are configuring the data collection, which is basically now you are configuring the data stream. So you have created your account, you have created your property, you have provided the details around the property, business objectives. Now data collection is basically you are now setting up your data streams. So if it's a website, simply select web. If it's an Android app, this, iOS app, this, right? So let's say you select web, which I think will be the most common option. You simply need to put the URL of your website, put the name of the stream. Okay, so I will just put DataVinci services. Sorry, stream name. So let's say DV website. Now this thing is important. All right, so Google Analytics, Universal Analytics, Google Analytics 3, the previous version, by default it would only track the page loads, right? But Google Analytics 4 can track certain things beyond the page load. What else can it track by default? It can track scrolls, it can track outbound links, it can track site search, it can track form interactions, video engagements, and file downloads. Now before you get too excited, there are limitations to it. So just by tracking all these, it does not mean that it will work on all kinds of websites, right? So for example, video engagement works only fires automatically for YouTube embedded videos. You cannot expect that it will work with all kinds of videos. Similarly, form interactions, they work with HTML5 forms. You cannot have any kind of iframe or a custom form and expect that Google Analytics will start tracking it. For site search, you need to have the landing page of your site listing page with the query parameters. Typically it can be like $search s and then the search keyword. You can have up to 10 query parameters to refine your site search reports. So these are the parameters can be, let's say, the page that triggered the search activity, right? Similarly, you can set track outbound clicks, scrolls, etc, etc. So you can keep these on. Obviously it adds to the code base that is going to track these additional things. Otherwise it's just going to track the page views, right? And you can see if this is having any kind of bloat on your website, if your tech team is okay with it. Otherwise you can turn these off. And as I said earlier, just by keeping these on, you cannot expect that they will work for sure. You need to check that whether the features that are there on your website, whether they are compatible with this tracking. Otherwise you will need to do custom tracking and reach out to DataVinci for support. All right, so let's click on create stream, and your data stream is created. Okay, so this is the measurement ID. This is the ID that you would put in let's say your website or a tag manager. So when you put this ID, right, and so this is how you connect the data stream with your property. Okay, so in the next section of this video, we are going to see how to configure the data stream, and we are going to explore the various options of the data streams provided over here. All right, so 90% of the people who are going to watch this video, the only thing that matters to them is this measurement ID, which you can use and put in the backend of the website where you want to track Google Analytics, start the tracking of Google Analytics, or in Google Tag Manager. Right now, this is a tutorial video, and I cannot cover everything in depth, but I will still try my best to cover everything at a high level so that you at least know at a high level what this is. There are certain topics in this section for which we have already created videos. I'll tell about that as well. If for anything else that you need specifically content on, so you can put that in the comments and we'll try to create content on that. Okay, so starting with the first one, that is your consent settings. So this is particularly very important for the websites that are operating in the European economic area. So it's mandatory to send the consent signals along with any tracking that you are doing. As such, you cannot control anything from here. It will just tell you that whether it's able to detect that or not, right? So there are certain links that you can click and find out more about these settings. Other than that, what you can do, or max to max change over here, is you can manage where once the consent is received, then how you want to share that with other Google services. So by default it's all Google services. Otherwise you can select that you want to share it with these services or not. If you're running the ads, then most probably you will need to share this with all the services that are there. Okay, as I mentioned, most you cannot change anything from here mostly it, but the consent signals is mandatory for the websites in the EEA region. Okay, now this part is similar to what we have already covered, the enhanced measurement. So in future, if you want to change, once the property has already been created, if you want to change something, then you can change it from here. Now that reminds me that I need to cover that if the property has been created and you want to access it again, then how you will do that. So if you have the admin rights, then you can go to the admin, right, and under property, data collection, data streams, and then when you click on the data stream, you will get this option again. So yeah, hope this helps. Now modify events and create custom events. Let's park this aside for now. I will first cover the event schema in Google Analytics 4 because that's an important topic. That is what makes this product unique. So first let's understand about what are events in Google Analytics 4, because it's very different when compared to Universal Analytics, and then we can understand what's modify events and custom events. Okay, measurement protocol API secrets. So if you are using measurement protocol, which is a service by Google Analytics using which you can automatically send the data which is not getting collected in Google Analytics to Google Analytics and blend that data with the data that is already getting collected in Google Analytics. For example, rebuilds data, which happens automatically at the payment servers. So if you want to send that data, then you can use measurement protocol to do that. Anirudh from our team has created a very beautiful video on this. I'll put the link to that video in the description, so you can access information about measurement protocol if you need any information on that. Okay, now redact data. So this is primarily to redact any PII data which you are passing knowingly or unknowingly, and you can like for example the information around emails can be redacted easily by this option if you are passing that information in the emails or any other events. But if there are certain query parameters which are tracking any additional information which is PII and you want to remove, you can remove it from here. Pratik from our team has created a very amazing video on this topic as well. I'll put the link to that and you can explore more about redacting data. Okay, now configure tag settings. So this is basically for the tag that you are going to install on your website to start collecting the data. If you're using Google Analytics like Google Tag Manager, then you need the property ID and you can configure everything from there. First one is same, the enhanced measurements, if you want to control that, right, and configure your domains. So if you are going to use cross domain tracking, okay, cross domain tracking in Google Analytics 4 is different compared to Universal Analytics, and it can do the cross domain tracking with these settings in most of the cases, provided certain conditions are met. So if you want to do cross domain tracking, you need to come over here and do that. I do not want to create a video, like make this video on cross domain tracking, because that can be a separate topic together by itself. But if you want to do cross domain tracking, you can access the settings from here. Right, now user provided data capabilities. So if you are sending user provided data and such that it can be shared across the various Google products, so that you can configure from here. More details on user provided data capabilities are present in this link. So you can find that there is a SHA-256 encryption, and there are certain parameters that you need to send additionally if you're sending any kind of user data to enrich the data that you're already collecting. And using that encryption, Google will share that data with all its other products, and that will help you with your marketing efforts. Okay, then of the other options that are there, one of the most important ones is list unwanted referrals, right? So if you put all the domains which you do not want to be considered as a referral, okay, so you can put that over here. So you can include your payment gateways or any internal websites. So if the traffic is coming from these domains or within an ongoing session as well, this domain is going to be part of the journey. Then if you put those domains over here, then it is not going to affect your marketing attribution or marketing settings in any way. This is an important setting, so you can put all the domains over here. Okay, then internal traffic, this is basically if you want to classify certain traffic from your own team as internal, so you can provide their IP, and using the IP address, if these IP addresses are detected, then Google Analytics is not going to include that in the calculation. This will be considered as an internal traffic. This obviously is challenging to do with dynamic IPs, right? With situation where the IP is going to change very frequently, so you need to do that regularly if you want to work with this. So this is how you can control this. Okay, then session timeout. So by default it's 30 minutes, but let's say you feel that it is not suitable. Let's say you are a media company wherein people are going to watch movies which are going to be as long as 120 minutes, and you want to consider that still as a session, so you can change the settings from here. Okay, and yeah, one more thing, the engage sessions. So if someone spends beyond 10 seconds, then Google is going to consider that as an engaged session. So this is important because let's say someone comes to your website from a marketing campaign that you're running on paid social, and someone comes and spends at least 10 seconds. So that means that they came on the website with a proper intent. They did not come by mistake, right? If you want to change this, you can change this from here. If you want to say that they should spend at least 30 seconds, then only I'm going to consider them as engaged with the lander, then you can do that. Okay, then override cookie settings. If you want to override this, then you can do that. By default the settings are going to be 24 months and it's going to get reset after every visit. It does not mean that your cookie is going to stay for 24 months. It's dependent on the browser and various other things, on the user, ad blockers, any kind of cookie cleaners that they're using. But from your side, you can say that max to max store it for 24 months. So if a person is coming daily with the same browser, then you can identify them for 24 months. Okay. And manage data across Google services. This is similar to what we have already covered. So this option can be accessed from here as well. Then collect universal data events. If you have implemented universal analytics previously with a raw method, right, not using Google Tag Manager, and GA function has been called, so it will detect the GA function, and based on that, whatever event you were passing to the previous ID, it will detect it over here and send it to GA4 as well, right? So this one is done. Then manage connected websites. So the connected tags. So if there are existing tags which are already present, and whatever you are passing to those tags, these are going to be Google tags only. You want to pass the information from those tags to your property as well, then you need to put the IDs of those tags over here, and then it will start collecting the data and send it to this property as well. Okay. Then view tag instructions. So this is basically the instructions on how you are going to install the tag, if you are going to do that manually without using a tag manager, etc. Then this is how you are going to do it, right? And if you want to test it to find out whether the tag has been installed and it's getting detected or not, you can do that from here. All right, so I'm covering these topics at a high level, as I mentioned, otherwise this video will become very long, right? So now let's jump towards understanding the event schema in Google Analytics 4, and then we will look at the reporting interface and reporting UI. Okay, so let's understand events in Google Analytics 4, and please subscribe. So what are event names, and why understanding events is important? So in Universal Analytics, what used to happen that any information that you are sending to the analytics server, there are server hits, right? There are HTTPS calls that you are sending from the client side, which is the browser of the visitor, to the server side, which is collecting these events. So in Universal Analytics, in every page load, we will have a page view hit, right? And then anything that we want to track additionally on top of the basic page load will be tracked with the events. And then event would have a set schema wherein there was event name, event category, event action, event label, event value. Okay, so that is how it was being done in Universal Analytics. Now when it comes to Google Analytics 4, everything is an event. Okay, so even your page load, it is getting tracked with an event in the name of page view, right? So there is one thing that is event name, right, which is simply what is the name of that hit that you are giving. So for example, for page view, the event name is page underscore view, right? And then there are event parameters. So these are additional metrics and dimensions that you can send along with the event to enrich the information that you're sending with the event. So for example, if we consider simply the page view as an event, so page view is the name of the event, and then things like page title, page path, referrer, etc. can be considered as a event parameter, right? So with any custom event that you are sending, you can send up to 25 event parameters. So let's say if you're tagging an event for login, so you can send login as a name of the event. Then the page that initiates login, you can pass the URL of that page. The method that the user is using to login, you can pass that as a method. Anything else you, let's say, want to add user ID, encrypted user ID as well, then you can pass that as well. So there is going to be an event name, and then everything else that you send along with that event is going to be passed as an event parameter. Okay, so I hope that is clear. Now let's look at the interface of Google Analytics and see how it looks in the Google Analytics interface. Okay, so if we go to the real-time reports, just to show that to you in real time, I hope there is some traffic right now on the website. So yeah, so there are 2 people on the website. Okay, so here you can see that event count by event name is coming. So these are the events. So as you can see, session start, first visit, page view, calendar event type. Okay, so someone is looking at leads submission. So these are the events. So if you click on any of the events, you will see the event parameters that are getting passed with that particular event. Okay, and then if you click on any of those parameters, you can see the values that are getting passed in that event parameter. Okay, so this is how you can see in real-time reports how the events and event parameters are coming. Otherwise, if you want to see that in the standard reports, then you can go in events, event name, which is under the lifecycle engagement, and event name, right? And you will see all the events over here. If you click over it, then it will show you the various parameters that are associated with an event name, right? You can also choose the parameter, and it will show you the data for the last 30 minutes, what is coming over here. But this is how you can access your parameter. And for any event name, if you go to the bottom, you will see the various custom parameters that are associated with an event name. So this one is having just one custom parameter. So it is showing you the author name, right, and then the value, and then the event count for the date range that you have selected on top. So this is how you can see in the standard reporting interface. If you want to see that in the custom reports, we'll cover that later in the video. But what is important to understand is the concept of event in Google Analytics 4. So everything is getting tracked as an event. Every hit that you are sending to Google Analytics 4 is an event. It has an event name and an event parameter. Now we will get back to the configuration settings where we were covering modify events and create a new event. Understanding custom name, event name and event parameter is important, and now we'll see why it was important. Okay. So the first one is modify events, which as the name suggests, you can modify an event that you're already collecting based on certain information. Okay. So the first one is the matching condition, which is like, if this condition gets satisfied, then do this, right? So you can put the event name over here. So or any other parameter that you want to track, which you are recording in your analytics, you can put the parameter over here. And then if the parameter is these conditions are met, you can put the condition that you want to match over here. If you want to add additional parameter, you can do that as well. Okay, so you can put the conditions over here, the parameter and the event name, and if these conditions are met, then you can add, remove or edit the parameters, so including the event name from here. So if you want to change the name of the event from whatever was here to something else, you can do that. If you want to map a value, let's say, which was absent, and you want to map a value, then you can get the value in real time as well using these square brackets and get that value, or you can put a custom value and then that value will get mapped to the parameter, and simply add the modification and this modification will happen. A similar logic is followed with create new event as well, wherein based on a certain condition, if a condition is met, you can create new event. So for example, you have an event that is simply user interaction and it tracks everything. Okay, so it tracks everything, and you want to create a specific event when a navigation interaction happens. So you can say event name, hypothetically that is user interaction, condition, interaction type. Let's assume that you are passing a parameter in the name of interaction underscore type, and the value hypothetically is navigation. So you can create a new event with the name that event name and navbar interaction. Then you can see a dedicated report only to navigation interactions, rather than looking an overall report which is having all kinds of interactions, including the navigation interaction or footer interaction or anything like that. All right, so I hope you are now clear with all the, at a high level, clear with all the concepts of configuring the data streams with Google Analytics 4, right? Let's now look at how you can install a Google Analytics tag using Google Tag Manager at a high level again. So simply looking at how you can install a page load tag. We will not get into too much detail because there can be separate videos for that. Okay. So we are now going to see how we can install the basic page load tracking of Google Analytics with Google Tag Manager. So when you are in your Google Analytics account, if you click on these 4 boxes and then you click on Tag Manager, then you will land somewhere over here, and then just follow the basic steps. If you are not able to see this screen, you should be able to, and then simply click on create account. Now with create account, it's again a simple process. Just give the name of the account, select your country, give the name of the container, so you can give it DV prod container. Okay, use something logical. In most cases you are going to go with the web. Then read this, give this to your lawyer, go to all these links and read all of them, give them to your lawyer, and also then click on a condition that they can update this in future. Then when they update it, read it again, send it to your lawyer, and yeah, that is how you should do it, like I am doing it. So after clicking on yes, you will get these scripts, right? So this one needs to go in the head section of your website as high as possible. If you're not able to do this, take the help from your developer. Just share this with your developer, copy this and ask them to paste this as high as possible in the head section of your website. If your website is using, let's say if the platform is something like a WordPress, which has several plugins as well, where you can install through a plugin instead of copy pasting the code, then you can use this code right? And put that in the plugin, and this will install Google Tag Manager. So this one needs to go as high as possible in the head tag, and this one is a no script tag. So in today's world, almost every website will have a JavaScript enabled, and most of your target audience will have a JavaScript enabled. But if you feel that the people who are disabling their JavaScript, they are also important for you, then and your site will function properly without having the JavaScript as well, then you need this code as well that needs to go after the body tag. This one is optional, this one is mandatory, right? So assuming that you have shared these instructions and your tag manager has been installed on your website, then you need to go to tags. Okay, then you will get a list of tags. No, you will not get. You need to click on new and then click on tag configuration, and here you should get a list of tags. You select Google Analytics, and then this is going to be Google tag, right? And you need to put the tag ID. Now the tag ID is simply your measurement ID. So you copy from here and you paste it here. Okay, and configuration settings, until unless you need to send anything additional, but I would not cover this in this video because I believe that by the end it should already be at least an hour long video. If you want to know anything specifically about these things, just put that in the comment section, and then we can create separate videos on that. Right now the objective is to enable the basic page load tagging. Okay, so for that you are pasting the property ID here for triggering. If consent mode is important for you, then you need to choose the consent initialization. Otherwise, for the sake of simplicity, you put all pages, wherein with every page load the Google tag will get loaded. If you want to know how to do this with the consent initialization, then let me know. I will create a separate video. I cannot obviously, or no one can obviously, put in all the nitty-gritties of the entire tool and system in one video. So let's go with the basics at high level, and if you need something specific, then feel free to put that in the comment. Okay, you simply name it, and bloody save it. Once you are done with that, you can preview and validate whether the tag is firing or not. Otherwise you submit, give it a descriptive name, put the description of what you are doing, and you should put typically your name as well if you are using a shared account. Okay, and then publish it and sing like no one is listening, and that should take care of installing it. And this is how, in most cases, like 90% of the cases, your page load tagging would be enabled. Okay, right, let's move to the next part. So now let's look at the user interface of Google Analytics. So the good part is that even if you don't have a Google Analytics account which is live, and you want to learn the platform, you want to learn about how you can what are the various features that are available in Google Analytics in the tool, then what you can do is you can work with the demo account. So you simply need to search for the demo. Okay, and then just use Google Merge Shop demo account, and you will get a live data, right, which is dummy data of sorts, but it will help you to navigate the interface and get yourself more familiar with the tool, right? So typically you will land in the home section, right? And to be really honest, really honest, like mother promise honest, most people will not be using this particular these particular sections, right? Where people will be spending a lot of time are going to be in the standard reports, and your standard reports are going to be under life cycle and your users, right? So this is where most people are going to spend their time, and that is where the tool is actually effective in terms of a day-to-day usage, right? Obviously these home reports etc have their intended usage, but on a day-to-day basis, if we have to analyze how much time people are spending in the various sections of the tool, then this is where they are going to spend a lot of time. Okay, so report snapshot is simply a dashboard. So you can change the date from the top. By default it's set to last 28 days, and it will give you a graph, real-time data, right? If you want to see anything around the marketing by country, cohort, etc. So it's a snapshot, kind of a small dashboard, but to be really honest, it's not going to be used a lot. You can use real time once in a while when you want to see the real time data, you're doing any testing or something, then you can do that. And real time data will give you your users by first source, users by audience if you have created audiences, users by the various page title and screen names, user by event count, right? And if in any of these event names, if you click, then you will get the access to the event parameters. Then you can click on the event parameters and you will see the value. These are all real-time values in the last 30 minutes. Okay, so if you want to work with the real-time data, then this is how you access it. Now let's start with the main reports which you are going to use most frequently. So overview of acquisition is simply these reports. Without complicating anything, these are just your marketing reports. Acquisition reports are your marketing reports. So overview is simply a dashboard of your marketing report for the last 28 days. And if you want to see any particular report, right, then you come here in user acquisition, and then you can see reports in the form of tables, which I believe most people will be working with to analyze their data. You can again select the date range from the top, and then here with this drop down you get a list of all the dimensions that are available. Right now, user acquisition here, as you can see, is giving only the first user, right? First as in if the user has made in several sessions, then what was the first source medium or the marketing channel that got this user for this for whom you are seeing this data, right? So you can click plus and then add any other data that you want to add. Let's say I just add gender. Okay, so it's not compatible. I think something that should be compatible would be your device. So whenever Google is able to access that data, it's sharing it. Otherwise, if it's not able to access the data, it's not set or blank, right? So, but you got the point. If you want to add any other dimension, you want to add a secondary dimension, then you can click over here and access the secondary dimension. So you get option to add 2 dimensions in a report, and then you close it. So this one is for, as I mentioned, the first source of the user. That's why it's user acquisition. If you want to see the session wise acquisition marketing detail, right, then you click on traffic acquisition. So one is user acquisition, other is traffic acquisition. So in traffic acquisition, what you see is everything is session primary channel group, session default channel group, session source medium source platform, camping, and everything. Here again you can add a secondary dimension that you want to add. The metrics that you get is users, session, engaged sessions. If you remember, we set the value of engaged sessions. So if someone is spending beyond 10 seconds, so those sessions are engaged sessions, right? Then average time per session, engaged sessions per user, events per session, engagement rate, event count. This is all events, but you can select specific events from here. So let's say you select add to cart. So it will show you the data for add to cart. Key events are conversions. Okay, so previously they were called key event conversions. Now they are called key events. So if you want to see any particular conversion, then you go to key events, and then you can see that over here. And if you scroll, then you are able to see total revenue if you are passing that value. Otherwise it should not come here. Okay, so that is with acquisition. Play around with it, explore what are the various options. If you have any doubts, put that in the comment section. Then engagement overview will again give you a snapshot, right, which you are not going to use a lot. You will go to events, and events, as I mentioned earlier, will have event name and event parameters. So these are all the events. You get event count, total users who are using that event, event counts per user, and total revenue that can be attributed to any particular event. Then if you again click here, then you can add a secondary dimension with that event in this report, primarily for event count. Then you click on any of these event names, and then you should get the parameters that are associated with that event, right? So as you can see, so these are the parameter names. So this one has only one parameter, and this is how you can see the data for those parameters as well. Right now it's showing for real time, that is for the last 30 minutes. If you want a proper structured report for the event parameters as well, then we typically do not prefer to do it from here. We will go to the explore reports, which will help you to create custom reports. I'll cover that in some time, but for parameters, mostly you use explore reports to view them, or you map those event parameters as a custom dimension or metric depending on your use case, right? But if you want to access the various events, just the various event names, like let's say purchases, signups, logins, etc., so that you can come here and then you can see. Okay, conversions. So what is key events is conversions, right? So here also they should call it key events, depends on them, they are smarter. So whatever key events or conversions that you have, you can see over here what you have set as your conversions. So I will cover how you can map certain events as conversions, but once you have set your events, certain events as the conversions, they will come here, they will get reported here, and you can see the data that is associated with those events. So here in case of purchase, the revenue is also getting passed, so you can see that total revenue is also coming. Pages and screen is simply the various pages path, screens. Screen because I need to sneeze. Excuse me. So pages and screen because you can send the app data as well as the website data in the same web property. So in case of apps, there are no pages, there are screens. So that's why they are calling it smartly as pages and screens. So whenever there is a screen data, it will also come in the same report, right? So you can see pages in screen class, page path in screen class, page title in screen name, content grouping if you're doing content grouping, right? And so in this property, they are not doing it in the demo property, but yeah, this is how you can see the various pages, the views, users, views per user, average engagement time, event count. So you can select specific events, key events, which you can select from here, which are getting mapped along with specific pages and screens. Then landing pages, which is the first page of the session, right? So how many sessions started with this page, right? How many users entered with this page, new users, average time per session for the entire session that originated with this page, key events, total revenue, right? Not very complicated. Monetization, if you have e-commerce, right? So you can look at your commercial reports from monetization tab. So item name is simply the name of the product. You can select the other e-commerce values from here. So item ID, item brand, item variant, whatever you're passing. Then you can see the funnel of item viewed, item added to cart, item purchase, item revenue. Keep in mind that these things do not get tracked by default. You need to configure it. Only then you will start seeing these values in your analytics reports. Just by setting up the Google Analytics tag, don't assume that these things will automatically start coming. Okay. Purchase journey, which is a very important feature. So here you can see that it's the funnel. So you can see where people are facing friction in the funnel, right? So if you click on view funnel steps, so these are the steps of the funnel, Okay, so here you can, the good thing is that you can view the funnel by various dimensions, like this is device categories, so you can view it by country, region, browser and other things. So you can compare the behavior of the audience or traffic by various dimensions that are available here, right? So you can see at which stage you are facing the drop off. The good part about Google Analytics 4 when compared to the Universal Analytics is, in case of Universal Analytics, the funnel was set, it was fixed. But in case of Google Analytics 4, you can create your custom funnels as well, right? So in the User Explorer report, you can, the Explorer report which we'll cover later, you can see that how you can create funnels and custom funnels based on your business case if you do not have a standard journey, right? Checkout journey, if you are passing specific steps of the checkout, like begin checkout, add delivery, add payment, purchase, then you can see particularly in the checkout where people are facing friction. So this is also a very powerful report for e-commerce people. This is going to be very important. Promotions, if you're running internal banners and promotions, so you can put the internal promotion name, how many times it is viewed. If you are setting it, it will not get tracked by default. How many times it's clicked, how many times, what's the click-through rate, how many times after clicking an item is added to cart, or if you have an instant cart addition, then how many times with the promotion the cart is directly added. If you have an instant checkout available, then how many times with the promotion a checkout directly happens, right? Similarly, how many times with a particular promotion a purchase happens, revenue, etc. Okay, then retention, where you will get your users, which is returning users, user retention cohort, right? And very easy to access, so you can come over here, and if you want to work with any kind of retention reports, you can do that. Explore, I'm coming back again and again to Explore because it's more flexible to do reporting. My personal preference is to do the reporting in Explore and create dashboards over here, which I can customize based on how I like to analyze data. So over there I will rather work with cohort tables. Okay, now in user, first one is going to be a simply snapshot by a country is there, then town, city, gender. This is based on signals. Interest, again based on signals. Age, based on signals. Language, I think that is also that it tracks by default. Yeah. Then demographic details, so you have your country, and you can choose the other options that are available with the demographic details. Audiences, if so by default some audiences are there, you can create your own audiences as well in Google Analytics 4, and you can see the audience data over here. Okay, tech, so you can see the data by platform, web versus app, right? So you can see by operating system of the device from which the user is coming. You can see the device category, right? You can see the browser and screen resolution. So all these things are important when you're doing conversion optimization exercises to understand if the website, the user behavior is standard across all devices, or there is some scope of optimization by device type. Now these are the browsers, and you can select the various options which are technical options: device category, device model, screen resolution, app version, platform, OS version. At the time of creation of these videos, these are the options that are available to you. In future, if anything else gets added in the tech, then that will come over here, right? So I think this should be clear on how you can, what are the various standard options that are available with you when it comes to the reporting, standard reporting, right? So we are done with the home, we are done with the reports. I will first cover advertising, and then I will cover Explore. Okay, and we can then in the end look at the admin as well. Let's look at the advertising reports. Honestly, I feel that the name could have been different because it presents not just advertising data, it presents direct data, organic data, referral data, and almost all the channels, right? But without making a fuss about it, if we focus on what is there in the advertising reports, so let's start with the performance reports. So here you will have all the channels So it will start with the default channels. If you have not configured your channels, then if you have not created your own logic to classify the channels, and you will just see the default channels by default channels by default, yeah. And then you can see the source, medium, camping over here, and if you select, then you can see key events, ad cost, cost per interaction, cost per conversion, which is key event interaction, ads click, ad cost, total revenue. Now the cost, etc., that is coming over here is coming only for the channels which are Google channels. So you have integrated your analytics with Google ads, so those things will start coming over here. Excuse me, allergy. Now, so you see that these are key events, and these are all the key events. So whatever you have marked as a conversion in your analytics settings, they will come over here. If you want to select a specific key event, right? So for example, here the key events which are there in the demo property are purchase, add to cart, view item. But if you want to specifically see only for purchase, then you can select purchase, and then the data that is right now coming is only and only for purchase. So this one is coming from analytics, and all the rest are coming from your ads. Okay, if you're running DV360 campaigns, then you can get the data for DV360, same thing, conversion from analytics, others from the ad platform, same for Google ads, right? And you can choose the various dimensions that are available with Google ads over here. Okay, now this one is interesting, but in the demo account they have not sorry, I meant this one, conversion path. So in the demo account they have not configured the data that you can actually see this report properly. But if you have access to analytics account, then you will see that there can be multiple channels, right? And it simply tells that for a particular conversion, according to Google, how many interactions or touches with a particular channel were made before the conversion happened. So you can have an idea of a starter, player, closer. The only limitation is that this is based on how Google is identifying a visitor. This is based on the cookie. Okay, so if someone is coming from different devices, then obviously the cookie is different, so it will not give you the clear picture. Or if the cookie is expired, like these days even the first party cookie does not last beyond 1 week. So if the cookie is expired by the time a visitor is making their second visit or third visit, then this will not be of a lot of use, right? So keep that in mind. Model comparison, so there are two models that are available, the last click and the data driven model. So last click ignores direct if there were several channels and direct was the last channel. If direct was the only channel, then direct comes, right? But you can compare that if you take the last click model or the data driven model. Data driven model is Google's, I think, stochastic model. You can read on that. They control that. You cannot tweak the data driven model within Google Analytics. And you can compare that. If you take last click versus data driven, then what's the difference? So if that is of use to you, if you want to see or take credit or give credit to certain channels, then you can get that from here. Okay, so that's about advertising, and we will now cover things which are the most powerful items when it comes to Google Analytics 4, which is the explore section, wherein we can create our own reports, custom reports. So let's look into that. I think you will enjoy it.
So what are we going to cover? We are going to cover very basic things, how to name your reports. We are going to cover what are the various date range options. We are going to cover how to create simple tables with dimensions and metrics and how we can complicate them. We are going to see how to add segments to the reports. We are going to see how to add filters to the report. We are going to see how to create multiple report tabs. Yes, that is an option. How to share your reports, how you can download your reports, and how to identify whether your report is based on sampled data versus non-sampled data. Alright, let's start the meat of the video with the first two topics, that is how to name your reports and what are the various date range options. So when you log into your Google Analytics for property, this is how mostly it should look. Obviously the numbers would be different, but here you will see the various options. Now when we want to create the freeform reports, we will not go into reports, but rather we will go to explore And these are the subtle things that are actually making it confusing for the people and non-intuitive to say. All right. So again, repeating that, if we want to create the reports, we have to go to Explore. Now, in Explore, you have the various templates that are there, right? And to make things simple, I will just suggest that you click on the blank, right? And this is how it will look. Now, as I discussed that in this section, we are going to cover how we can name the reports and how we can choose the date range of this report. So naming is very easy. It's just shouting over there that name me. So you can just, let's say, name it YT tutorial. Yeah. And date range, selecting that also is very easy. These are the rolling date ranges. So let's say if you select this week, then every time you open the report, irrespective of when you are opening it, it will always show you the data for that particular week. Similarly, if you select last 30 days, then irrespective of when you're opening this report, it will always show you the data for last 30 days from that particular day on which you are opening the report. Other than that, you can choose a custom date range for your report and just select it like this. And there is an also option of compare over here. So you can choose the comparison period between whatever you want to choose as your date range and what you want to compare it with. Okay, simply click on apply and your date range will get applied to the report. Moving further, how to create a table with dimensions and metrics. So when you want to add any kind of metrics or any kind of dimensions to create your report, so first what you need to do is decide on the metrics and dimensions that you will be adding to it, right? So all the metrics and dimensions are not available by default. So when you read over here that select a dimension, if you have not added a dimensions in advance, you will not see anything. Similarly, if you have not added any metric in advance, you will not see anything. And these are the things that are again confusing people. So to add the dimensions, you simply click on the plus sign over here with the dimensions. And you will see that the categories of the reports are alphabetical. So the good part is that they are categorized, but yeah, they are alphabetical and not as per the popularity of the report, but it's decent, I would say. You can just find all the reports that you want to see. So it gives all reports, predefined reports and custom reports, right? So let's, for the sake of simplicity, focus on predefined. And to create a simple report, we can focus on simple examples. Let's say we go to page or screen. So we can choose the dimensions that we want. So we can choose, let's say, page location and page path and screen class. So these are the two dimensions that we have. And then for metrics, it makes sense to add views as a metric. Remember that there are no page views, they are just views, right? So we can select this. And yeah, so now when we have to choose a dimension, so when you click over here, then you can see the list of dimensions that you already have over here. So if we select page location, and then when we go to values, we can choose a metric. So this is how the pages report will get populated. So these are the pages and the respective views for those pages, right? Now if you want to add another dimension to this, you can add page path and screen class here itself. Now this is where this is more flexible when you want to do any kind of ad hoc reporting, because if you remember in Universal Analytics, if you wanted to create a custom report, then there was a lot of back and forth. It was not very easy to do the analysis on the fly, but here it's very convenient. So I can also do just drag and drop as well, and this particular dimension will get added, right? So it's easy to do analysis. So once you get a hang of it, it's very it gets very intuitive from there, and it's easy to do the analysis with this one. Okay, now again, if you need any more dimensions, you go back. Let's say we want this time platform and device, right? So we can choose the device category, import it, and then drag that over here. Get dragged, please. Right now there are some other options over here. So you can choose on the number of rows that you want to see, right? A good option that I like is the nesting. So where was that? Yeah, nested rows. So you can make it yes, and this will, as you can see, perform nesting based on the first column that is over here, and it can help to analyze the report for some users, right? And yeah, more or less without complicating anything, in 90% of the cases, this is how you are going to create a simple table. And if you want to create any kind of, you want to add any new metrics, then you follow the same process. You go over here and you choose the metrics that you want, right? And you add that. Okay, so by now I feel that you understand how to access Freeform table, you understand how to create a Freeform table, right? And let's move further with the other topics in this video. We will now see how to add segments to the reports. Now, to create segments, as you can see, or you would have already guessed, is it's very apparent over here, just above dimensions. It's segments, and you click plus, then you get access to all the segments that are there. No, it does not work like that. So the major difference that you will find when it comes to Universal Analytics versus Google Analytics 4 is that in Universal Analytics you could create segments, and you could repurpose them on your reports across the interface. So across your custom reports, as well as the various categories of reports, namely acquisition, audience, behavior, etc. You could use those segments, but here when you click on segments, then you need to create the segments again. So here there are some templates, right? So if I have to give a simple example of template, then we can go to demographics and see the various demographics related dimensions that are there. You can create the filters, and based on that you can create a segment. But in general, when you are creating custom segments, then the three basic categories of segments are there, which are your user level segment, session level segment, and event based segment. Okay, so I will not go into too much depth into these, but at a high level, if I have to explain, just because we are on this topic, is you know that every hit that is going to be sent to the Google Analytics property is in the form of an event, right? And when the events for a certain predefined time, they are combined together, then they form a session for the time bracket that you have defined for your inactivity, right? And one user, when they are having the same cookie ID or the identifier, it can be a user ID, will comprise of multiple segments. So the biggest segment, the biggest data that you will get will be from users, then segments, then events. I know many people confused, because when they're imagining, they imagine the hits, so there are more hits, that's why the data should come with events. It does not work like that, because a user is having multiple sessions, and each of those sessions are having multiple hits. So when you say that show me a user for which a page is equal to the home page, then you will get all the data, all the sessions of that user, even those data points where the page was not a home page, right? But if you create a segment for event where the page was the page home page, then you will get only that data where the event had a hit where page location was the home page, right? Just let's cover session as well. So extending the same example, if you create a segment where you want the data where the page contain home page, then you will get the data for the entire session where one of the pages were home page, but there were other pages as well. Okay, so you need to understand what's the use case that you want to create, how you want to segment the data, and then you can apply these segments, right? So now I will create a simple segment wherein since we basically work with international clients, we do not have many clients in India, and we run ads also internationally. So we want to create a segment where we can say that geography, where country, right? And then we can create a filter, contains, or we can say does not contain, and to keep things simple, we can say does not contain India, right? And we can say that international users. Okay, So this is a segment that is available with us, right? So now we have the international users and we have the total users. For the sake of simplicity, let's remove page path and screen. Okay, so here we have totals and internationals, and then what we can do, we can add another segment, and let's say this time we want contains India. So now we have international users and we have Indian users. Okay, so when you work with segments, you also get the option of pivot, right? So you can just pivot on the basis of first row, last row, first column, last column. So if right now it's first column, but if I say select first row, so as you can see, the layout of the table changes. Again, it's very convenient as compared to Universal Analytics, the way we were creating the reports over there. So the entire focus that is there on when it comes to Google Analytics 4, when it comes to reporting, is to facilitate ad hoc analysis, facilitate analysis on the fly. That's why I mentioned at the beginning of this video that if you get a hang of reporting in Google Analytics, then this is more convenient than Universal Analytics. It's more advanced to facilitate any kind of analysis, and when you want to generate insights and properly understand the user behavior, it's more convenient to do that over here in this interface as compared to how we used to do it in Universal Analytics. So I hope that helps you understand how you can apply segments. I cannot go into too much detail into how to create segments, etc., because that can be a separate video altogether. But assuming that if you know already the concepts of segments, then this is how you can apply them to your reports. Okay, moving further with how to add filters to the reports. This dog is cute. So adding filters is very easy. To add the filter, you just scroll down here, right, and you see filters. Now just click on this and you will get the option to apply the filters based on the components of your report, right? So as you can see over here, this is allowing you to apply filter only on the components. If you want to apply any kind of filter, let's say a segment is also essentially a filter, which with the components that are not present in this particular report, then you can use a segment to do that. Okay, so we can choose either the dimensions or the metrics. So let's say I choose device category, and then it's very simple. It provides the various options. Exactly matches, contains, begins with, ends with, regex is also there, does not exactly match, does not contain, does not begin with, does not end with, does not match regex, right? So we can say exactly matches, and then we can say that it should be only desktop, right? And then you just apply, and you can apply multiple filters over here, so you can add more conditions, and then you will see the data only for the filters that you are creating over here. So it's very convenient, it's very easy to use, particularly the regex. It makes it very, very convenient to filter your data. You can, and I'll come to the next topic and tell you how you can use filter across different reports and create variations of the report, right? Let's see now how to create multiple report tabs. This is one of my favorite features when it comes to the new reporting interface that Google Analytics offers, which is you can create multiple report tabs in the same main report, to say. So you can create a theme of reports. So if you are analyzing any particular campaign or any particular landing page, or you want to create, let's say, different themes of reports, e-commerce reports, wherein you want to see the conversion funnel, you want to see the e-commerce by device categories, you want to see the product wise information, you want to see the SKU wise information, etc., etc., etc. So you can create a series of reportlets within the same report, and you can also, I think, duplicate it. So yeah, so you can duplicate it. right? And then you can rename the report based on the use for this particular report. Okay, now when I was saying that you can use filters in with the various reportlets as well. So essentially what you can do is, if here I have applied the filter only for desktop, right? So here it's around desktop, so I can say this is desktop report. Okay, and here what I can do, I can change the filter, and here instead of desktop I can make it mobile, right? And this becomes a mobile report. So this is a very simple example just to explain the features of the reporting interface. But as you can understand that this is a very powerful feature. So it's not only applicable to creating freeform tables, but when you create a new tab, you can even create your funnel exploration, segment overlaps, path exploration. So you can create a theme of reports, right? So that makes it very powerful, because if there are certain categories of reports that you want to analyze on a daily, weekly, monthly basis, then you can simply do that in one main report and everything is related to it. If you are doing any kind of analysis, right? So you have created one report with which you have deduced some insights, and now you want to create another report which is an extension of this report, or is a variation of this report, or some other data points with a similar theme that you have derived from the first report. So you can also do that. So you can create a series of related analysis and create a big picture in one report, so that everything makes sense. So all the features that have been added, I'm repeating this again and again, is to facilitate analysis when it comes to using Google Analytics 4. And this is a great leap forward when compared with Universal Analytics, especially when it comes to doing ad hoc analysis for insight generation. We will now see how we can share the reports. So to share the reports, you will guess that you click over here, and then right now it's already shared. So now if I click on it, then you will click over here and it will give you the option that share with others, and this exploration will be shared with all users of the explorations property in read-only mode. Focus on this, read-only mode. Okay, so this is this can sometimes raise questions, because if you are an agency or if you are creating reports for others, then the follow-up question would be that I want to edit this report, then how do I do that? Because right now it's on read-only mode. And what would happen is that as and when you make changes to this particular report, so they can also access the data. They cannot change the components of the report, but as in when you add the new components, you modify the contents of this report, whoever you are sharing this with, they can also access this data. Another thing to notice over here is that it just says that this is accessible to all the people who have the access to this particular property. So there is no as such segment of audience to which you want to share, or any individual with whom you want to share. It gets shared with everybody. Right now that is how the product is. In future it might change, but right now it gets shared with everyone. Okay, so once it gets shared with everyone, so when you will open your exploration tab, and then when you see owners, so you will see the reports that have been shared with you by others and your own reports as well. So since the name of this account is DataVinci Delivery, so that's why all the reports are here, since no account reports have been shared with DataVinci Delivery for this particular property, because it's just our own property. We are not seeing anything, but when someone shares the report with you, you will see the name of the owner, and you will also see the name of the report. Okay, now the question arises that what if I want to change the components of that report? What if I want to edit that report? Then what you need to do, you need to click on the three dots, and you need to create on duplicate. Okay, so you will create a duplicate of the report that has been shared with you. Now obviously that is a separate report instance, and when someone makes edits or changes to the original report, they will not get reflected in your report, because now it's a duplicate which is there with you, and that is only available with you. It does not get shared with everybody else in the who is having access to the property. It's your own personal report. Okay, so yeah, so this is how you can share the reports. It's I understand it's a limitation wherein we cannot share certain reports only with some people. It's just the way it is that it will get shared with everyone at the moment. Okay, moving further with how to download the reports. So when it comes to download, I think it's very easy to understand that you can just click on this icon and then you get the options to download the report. You can directly export to Google Sheets. You can get in TSV, CSV, PDF. PDF all tabs means all the reports that you have, all the tabs that you have created. Okay, but the thing that you want to focus over here is that the data volume that you finally export or you finally download depends on the number of rows that you have selected from show rows. So if you select 25, then the PDF will also contain 25, right? If you set this to 100, then the PDF will also produce a result with 500 rows. So that is something that you need to be aware of depending on your use case, and before sending any data or sharing any data with anyone, that if you set this to 25, don't expect that it will get the data for all the rows. And if you have too many rows, then you also need to get this in separate instances one by one and then create your data like that. Okay. Finally, let's see how we can identify whether the data in our reports is based on sample data or non-sample data. Okay. So to check whether thresholding has been applied or not, you need to go to the top right corner, and here if you see a check mark, right? So you are getting 100% of data. There is no sampling. But if you see this caution, that means thresholding has been applied. So thresholding gets applied in a few cases. So the most common case is when you apply Google Signals in your reporting identity. So Google Signals is provided by Google Analytics, wherein Google uses the IDs of logged in users who are using Google accounts and using Google products. And based on that, they identify a user across different platforms, across different devices, because they know that this is the same users and they're using the Google account who is using the different accounts. So it's kind of a black box, so you cannot totally understand or totally identify how this is working behind the scenes, because Google is saying that this is the same user according to them and this person was using the same Google account. That's why this is the same person. And since Google deduplicates this data based on how they identify a user or a visitor, then the data that you will see without Google Signals on and with Google Signals on is very different. Now, Google Analytics does not export data to BigQuery for Google Signals. So if you compare the data in BigQuery for a property where Google Signals has been applied, then you will see that Google Analytics reports less data and Google BigQuery reports more data, because in Analytics the data is based on Google Signals, and in BigQuery Google Signals is not applied. So typically, this is how you can see that whether the data is based on like total complete data, 100% unsampled report, or it is based on some kind of sampling. Sampling, mostly even when you're using Google Signals, it gets applied, but it always gets applied when you're using demographics reports, the age, gender, etc. And this used to happen even with Universal Analytics. But the thing that you need to understand over here is that to even enable or access the demographics reports, you need to enable Google Signals, right? So just be careful about that. And if you want a very to the point data that should match with your backend, then that match rate can go down when you use Google Signals. Even the data for conversions can go down when you use Google Signals. But obviously the user identification improves. So it's a very confusing situation wherein you assume that if you put in Google Signals, then the user identification, the data volume should improve because everyone is using Google account. So the data should be better reported, but actually the data volume gets reduced, and that can create confusions. So use Google Signals after carefully considering all the situations, and observe the data, what happens, understand how the various stakeholders are responding to the application of Google Signals when they are using the data, and then only use it. But in general, if you have to identify whether the data is having any kind of sampling or not, this is how you do that. If it's a check mark, no sampling. If it's a caution mark, then thresholding has been applied. All right.
Now with the freeform table out of the way, let's look at the funnel exploration reports. So when you click on the funnel exploration, then the options are similar to what you had in freeform table. So here you can choose the date range, then the various segments that you want to include, the dimensions, the metrics, right? And then technique is funnel exploration. If you'll change it, then it will open something else. Visualization, standard funnel, trended funnel. This could have been also better because it shows the raw numbers of the steps that you include for the funnel. A stepwise conversion rate could have made it even more powerful, right? But yeah, standard funnel is what you would want to keep. Make an open funnel versus make a closed funnel. So it's a very beautiful concept. So in case of a closed funnel, right, which is by default, so this is a closed funnel, now it's an open funnel. So in case of a closed funnel, the first step is mandatory for moving to the second step, right? So for example, if you have home page as the first step, then, and if you have landing pages, so irrespective of whether you are running campaigns for a particular lander, let's say you are running campaigns to the product page, right, it will ignore all those sessions where the people are directly entering into the product page without first going through the home page. If you make it an open funnel, then the users can enter the funnel at any step. Okay, so by default it's closed. Then adding the steps, right, this is what makes it powerful. And breaking down, so you can break it down by any dimension. So right now it has been broken down by the device categories. As you can see that these are the steps, right, and they have been broken down by the device categories. And yeah, so let's now look at how we can configure the steps. So by default in the demo account, these are the steps that they have provided. It will not make much sense. So what we can do, we can start the funnel with session start, right? And since it's an e-commerce property, so we can have the next step as a view item. So we can click on events and just type view item, and this becomes the second step. And third step, we can say that it is followed by purchase, right? So we do an apply. So as you can see, it is telling total number of session starts and how many people had what is this? Okay, we have to name it as well. So view item, right? So how many people reached the view item stage and how many eventually made a purchase. You can introduce add to cart in between. So as I was saying, that it's very flexible. It gives you the users as a metric, so number of users who are completing a step, number of users who are going to the next step, number of users who are abandonment rate, right? And then you can compare the various dimensions at each step. Okay, so very powerful report, funnel exploration. Just play with it. One of the most widely used features at DataVinci when it comes to Google Analytics 4. So after funnel exploration, let's look at path exploration. So the basics are similar to what we had in Freeform Table and the funnel exploration. These are the node types that you have, right? You can change the node type from here. You cannot change the first node type. It's always going to be event name, and it's always going to be session start. Then you can choose from here page title in screen name, page title screen class, page path in screen class. So these are the nodes, right? And here you have the option of view unique nodes only versus non-unique nodes. So what does that mean? So often when users engage on the website, they can repeat an action, right? So if a person is repeating like a page reload is happening, then a same node value is getting repeated. So by default, it's view unique nodes only. So if someone is repeating an action, it is not counted. They only show the next new unique action that is happening. Values is you want to have either event count or users, so that you can put over here. Then once you start working with it, so you can see that at any step, like this is session start, so what's the breakup? So after session start, how many people are going to these nodes, these pages that you have selected over here? If you make it event name, then after session start, what are the typical events that happen? Mostly, as you might have guessed, it's going to be page view. Then you can click on any node and new events are coming. You can change this by a different node type, right? So after the page view happens, then what are the other pages that the users are viewing? So you can keep on clicking the nodes and you can keep on exploring the path. So if you it's more kind of an exploratory report, wherein you discover what is going on. So you keep on clicking on the nodes and new nodes keep on coming up, so you can see what is the typical path that users take before taking any action on your website or app. Okay, it's in conversion rate optimization analysis. You can use it once in a while for a particular page. You want to see what's coming before the page, what's happening after the page. Otherwise, it's not used that often in my experience. Okay, this one is an interesting report, the segment overlap. This report will mostly be used when you already have some hypothesis and you want to validate with data. Okay, so you're not going to discover any segments. You already need to come up with your own segments, any kind of thing that you want to test or validate, and then you can see an overlap between that. So for example, there are in this example report, we have a segment of demographics of people who are having the age of 25 to 54. There is tablet traffic and there is mobile traffic, and you have used users as a metric. So you can see how many people are of this age and also mobile users. You can see how many of them are tablet users and mobile users, and how many are having a complete overlap. So that gives you like the quantification as well. Overall mobile only, age 25, tablet age 25 only, right? So it's a powerful report, but it will be effective only when you have certain segments and you have some hypothesis that you are quantifying with data. So yeah, interesting report, but not used that often on a day-to-day basis. Okay, so now let's look at the lifetime reports. Okay, so we can choose any dimension to look at this report, and then we have to look at the users who were active in this time range, in this time period, for these dimensions. So 9,196 users came through Google as their first user source in this time period. Okay, now in this time period, the users who qualify for this particular segment of audience, what is their lifetime total? So this will not only consider this period, but the users who are qualifying for this period, what is their lifetime total transactions, what is their lifetime total revenue, right? So these values are dependent on this value. To clearly understand what is happening over here, let's look at a regular report wherein we are using the same dimension, that is the first user source, and we are taking the regular revenue and transactions. So when this number is getting reported, this is reporting the number only for this particular time period. Okay, but this is reporting number for the users who are qualifying for this particular condition, that this is their first user source for this time period. What is their lifetime value, right? So you can see the lifetime LTV total is going to give you revenue. LTV transaction is going to give you the total transactions of a user who is qualifying for this over their lifetime. Okay, so I hope this helps, right? And I think we are done with all of the custom reports in the explore section. Let's now look at admin, and also let's look at how we can configure any of the events as key events, that is conversions. And then I think this tutorial should be enough to give someone a foundation information around Google Analytics 4. Now with the admin, there are quite a lot of interesting features. I'm not going to cover all of them, but the ones that I feel that most people would be using, I will just cover those. Okay, so in case of property, you might be using property access management. Nothing complicated over here. Just click on this and then you can add the email address of the people with whom you want to share the property. Data streams we have already covered. This will open the same option that we initially were discussing at the time of configuring a data stream. Data collection. So in this one, mostly you are going to focus on this Google Signals. So when you enable Google Signals, then typically this is what is used to populate your demographic reports and psychographic reports, the age, gender, etc. So with Google Signals, what you are enabling Google Analytics is that if a user is signed in any of the Google services like Google Chrome or any other service, then they can use this information anonymously, encrypted information, to enrich the data that is getting collected in Google Analytics, and based on this they create the various demographic and psychographic reports, right? I'll not go into too much detail on these options. Next is data import. This is an interesting option. So you can import the data through like external data. For example, if you want to import the Facebook cost data, so you can do that from here. So you can do a one-time manual upload, or you can do an SFTP. So you can provide the details of the FTP server, and you can also set that the frequency when should Google Analytics typically pick that data from that FTP location and blend it with the data that you're collecting over here. Data retention, this is also an important feature. By default it's set to 2 months, right? And then you can set it max to 14 months, right? And after that the data gets deleted in a rolling manner. If you want to store the data beyond 14 months, then the only option, there are a few options by the way. So first option, the simplest one, is linking with BigQuery. Then your data will keep on getting stored in BigQuery data warehouse. Otherwise what you can do is you can get the data in Google Sheets using various connectors like sync with, etc., and create your own data warehouse for whatever is the data that you want to store, that you feel that you would be requiring beyond 14 months. So that data you can have with Google Sheets. So I'll not get too much into that topic because that's a separate topic. Coming back to the admin section over here with data retention, these are the two options that you have, right? Data filters is interesting option. So you can remove the internal traffic, but to do that, the way to do it is with all the events that you're passing. If you append an additional parameter of traffic type, and then the default value is internal, you can change this value. But if you are appending traffic type and passing the value as internal, then Google Analytics will filter that data out. Okay, so that is how you can do it. Data deletion request, if you want to schedule data deletion, so it's not used a lot, so I'll not cover that. Events, so this one is important because based on this you can mark certain events as conversions, which are now key events. So you can set certain things as conversions or key events, right? And then modify events and custom create events we have already discussed. Okay, whatever you set as key events or conversions over here, then when you click here you will see that the data for that over here. Okay, and then audiences, so you can create audiences which you can share with your other Google products like Google Ads, etc., for remarketing efforts, right? So these are the audiences that we have created. You can create some audiences by simply going on audiences, click on custom definition, and provide the conditions for creating an audience, and set it to maximum limit or set it to 30 days, depending upon what's your objective over here. And then this audience would be available with other Google products, provided you have done the product linking. Okay, custom definitions is for creating custom metrics and custom dimensions. So you can, first one is custom dimensions, so you can click on custom dimension, give it a name, set the scope, whether you want it at event, user or item scope, give a description, and then set the parameter. So whatever, all the parameters that you are tracking across different event names, you can put the value over here, and based on what parameter you're providing, you are just creating a new custom dimension which will be available in your explore reports. Similarly for custom metrics, right, so you can create custom metrics from here, right, you can set the scope, you can set the parameter, the unit of measurement, and you're good to go from here. Calculated metric, you can use existing metrics and put a formula, so you can select one metric, put a formula, division, subtraction, addition, whatever, put another metric, and then you can create a custom calculated metric. It's a good feature. This was not available with the flexibility that is available over here in Universal Analytics. So you can create stepwise calculated metrics over here, and that's a good thing to have. Channel groups, so the default channel grouping is there. If you want to create your own channel grouping, then you can just click on create new channel grouping, add a new channel, and then define the logic for the channel grouping. So you can put a condition around source, medium, anything that's available over here based on the logic that you have, and create your or modify the existing channel groups, and that would be your default channel grouping. This would be available in your advertisement and other reports. Okay, then attribution settings. So by default it will take data driven. This is the attribution setting for your standard reports. Okay, so with data driven model, you can also choose that you want last click model, right, and then you can configure, like in this data driven model, you want to include only Google paid channels, or you want to include the paid and organic channels, which will include the other channels as well, giving less credit to direct. And the click-through conversion, you can see set it whether you want a 7 days or 30 days, and the other conversion events you can set from here. Okay, reporting identity is also important. So if you make it blended, it's not available for this particular property as far as I remember. Yeah, it's not available. Then it will take the combination of user ID and device ID if you have enabled user ID, right? Otherwise you have the options of either going with user ID or going with device ID. Device ID is something that is by default, the cookie ID, and user ID is if you're using the user ID service to give it a encrypted anonymous ID, custom ID, based on whatever logic you have in the business, then that can be used over here. Blended is a combination of both, and it includes user ID, device ID, and modeling as well. So modeling is not available over here, but I think it is available selectively in the free properties and available in 360 properties, and that is how you can use a reporting identity. Debug view, if you are in the Google Tag Manager debug view, so whatever debugging you are doing, that real-time data shows over here. So that is how you can see. You can also see the parameters, events, etc. with the debug view. If you are doing the implementation, just use the preview mode of Google Tag Manager, and while you are in the preview mode, you will see the data here. Okay, product links. So these are all the products, Google products that are there. You can just link it. So you need to provide the configuration, you need to go to that product as well. Just follow the steps over here, it's nothing complicated, and with that you will be able to link the Google products with your Google Analytics account. One of the important ones is obviously the most common ones being the Google Ads and obviously Search Console, right? And then the one that you need if you want to store the data beyond 14 months in BigQuery, then this one. Okay, so yeah, I think we have covered admin as well. I've told you how to set conversions, custom dimensions, metrics. We have covered the user interface. We have covered the standard properties, standard reporting, as well as custom reporting, wherein we have covered all the reports that are there. I think we also covered Google Tag Manager to a basic level. So for a tutorial video for making someone familiar with this particular product, I think this is good enough. Should not be stretched beyond this in one single video. There can be separate videos for the various other topics that you want me to cover, so put that in the comment section and we will create videos on those, right? So I believe this video was helpful. If not, then let me know. From my side, we'll try to fix that in the coming videos. Till then, yeah, keep learning. And if you need any help with any kind of digital analytics services, then DataVinci is the bloody best team in the world. Ciao.